Hello. Thank you again so much for being here. How is everything? Sorry, it took me a while to do this video in English because I has been with Christmas and all this stuff. However, thanks so much for being here again. So today I'm going to continue with the topic of the collective, the supra-system, what is surrounding the person as a system. So today, in relation with it, I'm going to talk about Makarenko, Anthony Makarenko, Anton Makarenko. Makarenko was an educator of Russia. He's considered the father of the collective education, the educational theory of the collectivity, of the collective education, because he did he created an innovative pedagogical method to educate in the collectivity. So we are going to see how this happened. No, Makarenko, with only 17 years of age, he was called to be a teacher. He also created a parents' school. Before this, he took part in so many initiatives, no? So in 1920, because of the civil war in Russia, because of the revolution, many children were on the streets. They became criminals, petty thieves, delinquents, because they lost their parents in the war. So they became like a plague, and a social plague, and the government couldn't control them. They were already breaking into houses, plus the other things related to the war, so the government couldn't manage with this situation. So Makarenko was called to create a residential institution for these children. However, Makarenko, with his work, created an alternative school. So in 30 years and in about 200,000 hours of work, Makarenko managed to educate like 3,000 of these children. Yeah, and they became like very responsible citizens with high morals, very good manners, with very good aesthetics, uh, manners. Like, yeah, they were very responsible citizens. Some of them became engineers, and other ones became actors, educators. They wrote many books, and they continued the legacy of Makarenko's work, no? So how Makarenko did this? So Makarenko, he was living with the children in a colony. So he was educating the children there, no? So he's and after more schools were created along the Soviet Union. So Makarenko at the beginning was criticized because they say he was giving more importance to the collective, to the children's collective, than to the individual personality of the child. And also he was criticized because in the colony he extended the obligatory education to 10 years, and in the state was 7 years. So he was combining education with work and also with free time. 4 hours of education, theoretical knowledge, 4 hours of labor, and some hours also for socialization, for free time, for play. Mm. Makarenko was completely against the physical punishment. He said for this was only creating slavery, and he was also believing that the children couldn't be re-educated without being in touch with society, no? So that's why he created the school like that, with work and education and free time, like a mini society. So his more important work is Road to Life. It has been translated to more than 60 languages, and so many novels and movies has been done about it, and script plays and film scripts, plays, performance. Well, is his most famous work, and in this work is reflect his whole collective theory of the work in the colony. No? the educational theory of the collectivity is reflected in this work of Makarenko. So let's see what Makarenko found. When Makarenko was putting into practice his educational methods, he found so many obstacles in his way. Obstacles that were avoiding the children to attain their goals, their educational goals, the societal goals, the social goals, cultural goals. So, which bad aspects from Makarenko in this collectivity that were disturbing the road to life, were disturbing the continuity of the educational strategy he had. So the first obstacle was laziness. When people didn't want to make the things, the children, they were complaining they didn't want to make the job. That was the first thing. Definitely, if we want things to happen, we have to do the job. Nothing will happen by just looking into a wall or sitting. For things to happen, they have to be done. So that was the first obstacle, laziness. The second obstacle he found was, sorry, I wrote something here. Begging. Wanted to take things without doing anything. Wanted to get things, wanted to achieve things, but without doing anything, just asking for them. So that's not possible. Nothing happened for nothing. If you want something, you have to give something, no? Or pay for that, or do a work, or whatever. But nothing will happen for nothing. It's true the children were used to get the money in an easy way because they used to steal. They were also involved in traffic, in the black market, so, and that was very difficult at the beginning. So despite they didn't have enough money there, enough resources, because it was the war and they didn't have much to eat, but that was of course an obstacle, because when you have resources and money, things can be done easier and quicker. If you have the technology, the resources, good shoes, good clothes. But more obstacles than that were the laziness and the complaining, just complaining and wanted the things, begging for things without doing anything. And life is not like that, no at all. So the third obstacle that Makarenko found was the no direct communication. The communication based in the gossip, in the envy, lies. So it's very important the direct communication to know what's happening, no? And to avoid the problems getting bigger, because one of the girls who was a service user in the colony, a student, a girl from the States, she got pregnant. So at the beginning, they didn't know it was true or no until things happened. So yes, that is very important, the direct communication. The third obstacle the fourth obstacle that Makarenko found was the knife. When children were using the knife just for anything, if something wasn't doing, if somebody was doing something another one didn't like, just poof, stabbing. That was a very big problem. The use of guns or knives to impose points of view, to impose fear, to impose. Another obstacle was the alcohol. The alcohol, because the handovers also in the colony was created like a black market around it. So yes, it was entorpecing, it was obstaculizing stopping the development of the educational trajectory, no? Another obstacle was the playing cards of the gambling games, gambling. Because I mean, when they were playing, they used to to say, look, if I win, you have to pay me. So resources weren't there. So instead of paying, they were doing job one for each other. I do your job instead of paying you. So that was stopping also the activities that they were planned to be done in the economy. So that was also a big problem that has to be eliminated. Another big problem was the complaining but not looking for solutions. Just complaining like, I don't like this, I don't like that, this is crap. Well, let's do something, no? That has to be eliminated from the colony too. Just the complaining but without looking for solutions. Just no, because this is bad, I don't like this. No. Another obstacle was the antisocial behaviors like stealing, having good manners, fighting between them, discrimination. It came a group of Jews to the colony, sorry. And despite they were very good workers and obedience, some children, I don't know why they didn't like them. So they were beating them and making their life very hard. So that was a very big problem too that Makarenko have to sort out to continue with the educational project. Another thing was the lack of money. I say already, no, the lack of economic resources because it was making more difficult the job. But however, the children managed to restore the colony, and also they managed to get involved in they were giving another building, so that one also was restored. Workshops were created, so that was like the beginning of the professional education too, in one way, with Makarenko. Workshops were created, also they got involved with the farmers. So how Makarenko managed to do this? What Makarenko did? So Makarenko used the respect for this was a very important element. Respect for the children, treat the children as equals, not as an inferior beings. Also, he was using a lot of discipline, and he also combined the education with the military instruction. So that was why it was a very innovative method, no? And it has been used by so many people worldwide to rehabilitate, to re-educate people, to reintegrate people into society. Self-management too. Yes. And how he did this, he was involving the children in all the decisions, in all the activities that they were taking place in the colony. There were no secret meetings. I mean, sometimes he have to meet with some children alone to talk about a few things, uh, particular things. He have to be with Meta alone, but because there were issues related with that children. But in relation with the colony, everybody in the colony, since the smallest ones till the bigger ones, everybody, all the children, all the workers, because it was Makarenko, he was the director, but there were also other workers in the colony. So everybody was aware of all the needs, all the money, all the resources they have, all the activities they have to be done to restore the colony, or what has to be done to improve the life there. Everybody was involved in everything. Everybody was aware of everything that was happening in relation with the colony, with the main project. That's how Makarenko got the children involved. So the children managed also to be supervisors. Sorry, my voice. They started to be supervisors too. So he used a lot the command and subordination pedagogy, like the command and subordination. Some children were in charge, another received instructions. And the way around, because everybody was trained to be able to do everything. Of course, when the workshops were created, some children were better in one skills. They were better. They were more skilled in one areas than others, of course. But everybody was trained to be able to supervise everything in case somebody couldn't do it. So everybody, the project, in case somebody was missing for some reason or couldn't do the job that day, everybody was able to do it. That was also very innovative. So we saw now the negative aspects of the collective education that Makarenko faced. So what Makarenko is telling us that if these things are bad for the collective, are also bad for the individual. If you are involved in gambling games, if you are involved in the consumption of alcohol, if you are involved in a life with no discipline, if you are lazy, if you are expecting people to do things for you, if you are a person who talk in the back, if doesn't have direct communication, who is envy, that's very bad. If your economic situation is no good because you don't take care of your resources, if you don't know how to manage your money, but that have a negative impact in your expansion, in your development as a person. Okay. I recommend a lot the work of Makarenko to be read and study, and if you can take it, it's very good. You will learn a lot from it. He has also other pieces like book for parents and flags in towers, the flags of towers. I think it's like that, the other title that is very popular of Makarenko's work. So, well, now that I mentioned the negative aspects, I'm going also mention the positive aspects that Makarenko faced in the development of the collective education. So we can use this also for us and try to apply them in our life. So the first thing is the feeling of community. When Makarenko trying to insert in the children's mind the feeling of community. Why? Because everything we do, I mean, we are not living alone in this world. We do things for ourselves, but the things we do are take are taking part in a chain of events. For example, when I'm going to buy the bread, no, that money I pay for the person who made the bread, the person who sell the bread, no. Everything we do have an impact on ourselves and in the rest. Even if it's not visible to us. So this idea of collectivity, because when the children were to the colony at the beginning when they were there, they used to steal to the workers, they used to do very bad things, but they weren't aware of the impact it could have on people, because when they were part of the thief gangs or the criminal gangs they were part of, they stole, but they never knew the people they took the things from. They never knew these people. They stole the things and ran away. But in the colony, they understood the impact that it can have on the life of people. When you take things that are not yours, or when you take things from the colony that affect the life of everybody who was living there. So the feeling of community was very important. It's very important we have this. We are aware of this because we are not alone. Even if we are thinking we are doing the things for ourselves, we are not living alone. Another positive thing was the transparency. Be transparent. Don't try to be somebody who you are not, because people notice. Be authentic, transparent. Collaboration. Collaborate with each other as much as possible. Comprehension. Comprehend how people feeling, because sometimes the children were having like frustration, frustration attacks or anger or egoism, and we need to understand why. No, because the lack of resources they were going through before they came to the colony, or the life they had to go through. So comprehension was very important. Faith. Makarenko always had faith in these children. He thought always that the children had a possibility because they always believed they weren't like that by nature. They were like that because the circumstances of life. So he always had faith of them and faith in the work he was doing. So we have to believe, we have to have faith in what we are doing, faith in our projects and in the people who is around us to reach our goals. No? Ethics and standards. Yes, the children started to understand what was right and wrong. Also, when the young started to be more in charge of things, and with the military instruction, with the army instruction, so they become more. They also were walking more straight. They never put so much the hands on the pockets. They never laid on the wall so much. And also they started to dislike the dirtiness, the neglect, the abandon, the mess. They started to do not like that anymore. So yeah, they started to change thanks to the discipline and the hard work. So the hard work and the positive things of the hard work to attain results and goals, no? And the discipline. And ethics and standard about what's right and wrong, of course. Equal participation. Everybody was working in the same. Of course, the other children have harder duties that the younger ones couldn't do. But everybody was working in the colony, even the ones who were in charge of equal participation. Rules, laws, regulation to know what is right and wrong. Hard work and its benefits, I mentioned already. Training, education is important. We also have to fill ourselves with knowledge, learn new things all the time. Motivation based on the needs and the privilege that something can bring you, the benefits. Definitely, when they were working the land and they were doing the farming duties, is because they were using that to eat and also to sell the products and to get more resources for the colony and for them to have better clothes, better shoes. So yeah, the motivation based on the benefits. Passion, do the job happily, with energy. Be passionate about what are you doing. Planning. Planning is related with discipline, no? Because the day just was gone and nothing was done, so planning it was very important. Self-economics and social relations. That the things you do are good for the society, for the world, that is no bad for them, and also that bring economic benefits. That what you do is to bring economic benefits, no, like to increase the well-being of everybody, the wealth. You are not doing things to make people poor. When you are doing something, so you're supposed to do it to enrich the community, no, in all aspects, socially and economically. Forget the past. It's always a before and an after. The children, as I mentioned before, they started to avoid the dirtiness, the mess, the neglect, the abandonment. They became another person. Always you have to think that it's a before and an after. You can never use the past as something that never can take you wherever you want to go. The past is left behind. The past have to be left behind. In the children's, the past always was more far and far. Every day was farther. So you always can become whoever you want to be within your possibilities, no? The use of inherited professional experience. The use of inherited professional experience. In the colony, there were children that they were already teenagers when they became orphans. So some of them, their parents were farmers or electricians or joiners or carpenters. So some of them already have some knowledge. So that's very positive because when you use the inherited professional experience, you become already part of an engranage, like a way that is already done. You are not starting that way from the beginning in the darkness. It's a path already done, and you start to take part of it with the knowledge passed to you. So that is very important. Use that experience. No? Avoid superfluous needs to achieve objective. Avoid superfluous needs to achieve objective. For example, if you have shoes but now you want the super 300 pounds Nike trainers because they are fashion. Yeah, because that, not because you really need them. Or you have a car but because the new model, the Mercedes or I don't know, whatever, you want that model, even if it's not necessary to you. So avoid the superfluous needs to achieve your objective. Yeah, careful with that. Because sometimes the social pressure, the mass media pressure to get things, they make us believe that some things are important for us, but if we analyze them, maybe they are not. So be careful with that. Keep in mind, another positive thing is keep in mind that there is always a margin of choice to decide what is beneficial or harmful for one and for the majority. Keep in mind that there is always a margin of choice to decide what is beneficial or harmful for one and for the majority. You always have a margin of choice. You always can decide what to do or not to do in relation to something, to increase the problem or to decrease. You always have a margin of choice what to do. For example, in the colony it was a guy, I cannot remember his name because there were so many, but he started to do many problematic things. And at the beginning, yes, it was the comprehension, but when things started to escalate and more children were becoming part of that routine, he has to be put out of the colony because he had a margin of choice to decide what was right or wrong, and he was still choosing the wrong. So it wasn't anything to be done there. So always remember that you have a margin of choice to decide what is good for you and for the rest, and what is bad for you and for the rest. Another thing that Makarenko have always very present, and with this belief he managed to achieve his goals, was that in nature everything is so well arranged, and that therefore being each human being serves something. Everybody have a purpose in this existence. Everybody has a purpose. So people have to find their star, no? What they are good at. Another thing, shine for your work, for your knowledge. Always do things the best possible. That's your star, no? What's the point to be super nice, super cool, woo, and super cool, if you don't know how to do your job? If people call you to do something and you do it wrong? If people call you to fix the car and next day it's broken? What's the point to be the super cool if you don't know how to do anything? You have to find your star, your knowledge, what are you good at, and do it the best as possible. Because everything in nature is perfect. Doesn't matter the difficulties you are going through. Doesn't matter what is happening to you. If you were in drugs and you were in, doesn't matter now. That's the past. Find your purpose, your star, your what's your mission here? What are you good at that is beneficial for the society, socially and economically? What are you good at that is good for everyone? No bad. Good. Good for everyone. Okay. Another thing that Makarenko was doing was the use of the diary. Makarenko used to write everything that was happening every day, and thanks to these notes, he wrote the Road to Life book. Yes, to have an accountability of what you have to do, what you don't have to do, what has been done, what could be improved, ideas that can emerge of how to do the job more efficient, more quick, more better for everyone. So I wish this video helped you. So I'm going now to show you my book. Anyway, sorry, I was working on. This is my book, Personal, Economic and Social Growth in the Neo-Industrialization. It's an educational guide I create with all the elements I found more important for you to face the time we are living, the neo-industrialization. So to face the robotization, the digitalization, the debility of the states nations, the weakness of the states nations, in one way, no? Yeah, I mean, it's an educational guide that you can use to start to improve your life and to start to make your life a bit better. After, you can decide what to do, to find your purpose, to expand one area of your life, or decided to leave it as it is. It's up to you, but I mean, it's only £10 or $10. You can find it in Amazon. And I'm going to leave the link in the comments down below in the video. So thanks again for being here. I believe education can almost change anything. That's my motto. The motto of Makarenko was not to complain. So my motto is education can almost change anything. So thanks again. I recommend a lot the work of Makarenko if you can have it a look. And yeah, have a nice Christmas and see you in the next video. And my best wishes for all of you for the next year, because you are the most important thing of this channel, all of you. And I wish this information helped you. Or if you think somebody can benefit from this information, please share the video. Subscribe is free. And yeah. So thanks very much again, and all the best wishes. Thank you. Bye, 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 bye.